Hey everyone, this is Tim from Stammer, and what I wanted to cover in this video is some things that you can do if you are getting slow responses from the chatbot. And then what I also wanted to cover is some of the things we're working on to improve the speed of responses overall. So let's jump into it. Now, the most important thing that you need to check is the typing response speed of the chatbot. And let me show you how to do that really quickly. Okay, so I am going to go to Stammer. I will go into one of my chatbots by clicking on the dashboard. And then from there, you are going to want to go to Appearance and then scroll down until you see Enable Typing Simulation. Now, if this is enabled, you need to make sure that the response typing speed is at the max. So that is one thing you can check. Otherwise, it could be stuck on a slow typing speed. Now, the next thing to do is if you are getting slow responses, one feature that we have implemented in order to improve the overall user experience is the agent status messages. And let me show you what that looks like on a real live chatbot. I am going to go quickly to the notifier chatbot. And of course, the Stammer chatbot has this as well. I just use the notifier one because I'm never worried about modifying it. So yeah, what you can do here is if I send a message, I'm going to send the message, can I schedule a meeting? And then as you can see, we have these status messages that will show while the user is waiting for a response from the chatbot. And what this does, of course, is this is perceptual, but you have to keep in mind that every major chat platform, and not just AI chat, but every major chat platform does this, especially things like Amazon, in order to kind of give you an idea of what the agent is actually doing while you're waiting for a response. And one thing to keep in mind is our AI agents with Stammer, they are, accessing a knowledge base that can take some time to access. Now, actually, interestingly, the largest driver, more than 90% of the largest driver of response time is actually us waiting for a response from OpenAI. And we have the metrics actually because we keep track of that. But sometimes if you're searching through a very, very large knowledge base, that can also take a slight amount of time. Now, this is milliseconds, of course, but it can take an additional amount of time to search that knowledge base. But what can really take a longer amount of time is if we send a ton of your knowledge base data to ChatGPT, then it needs to analyze, right? And if it happens to go to ChatGPT at some time where they have a heavy load, it can take a while for it to generate a response. So keep that in mind, but this functionality can help alleviate some of that experience to make it, obvious to the user that stuff is going on in the background. And now I'm going to show you how to enable this, just so you know exactly how to do that. The final thing I will say though is that with these chatbots, the response times you're getting are much better than a human. That is for sure. And when you compare our responses to some other platforms that are doing much simpler things, we tend to favor, having the chatbots have more capabilities and having a slower response. Now, that being said, we are investigating now and implementing ways to speed this up massively, especially for people that are in other regions of the world other than where our primary infrastructure is. So we will talk about that in just a moment here. But yeah, it's great. This AI stuff is amazing. Sometimes those responses from ChatGPT can take a while. So you always also, and I should have actually put this in the notes, but you should always also not use it. You need to measure it across the day is what I'm trying to say badly. You need to take several measurements across the day because it's possible that you're using it during a time of high load and the actual experience your customers are getting is not quite like that. But let me stop ranting. Let's go into here and show you how to turn that on. So let's see here. Here it is, agent status messages. And you can actually customize this, right? We have some default options in here that work in most cases, but you can add your own in here and you can show whatever you want while the user is waiting for a response. Okay, so we have gone over enabling agent status messages. Now, One thing you can also do, and the reason this works will make a lot more sense in just a moment here, but you can actually tell the agent by inside the base system prompt, that's what I mean, by going to the base system prompt and editing it, you can actually tell the agent to be as concise as possible without, not including any information that would be helpful to return an accurate response. You don't need to make it that much of a mouthful, but you can basically tell it to have shortened responses. And what that will mean is that it takes less time for that response to get to us because it doesn't take as long for it to generate with OpenAI. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment when we talk about one thing we're attempting to do, not attempting, one thing we're working on implementing, which is streaming. Finally, if you're still getting issues and if the speed is just not up to par, what you can do is there could be some strange edge case or issue that's going on, or maybe something about your prompt is making it not work as well or confusing ChatGPT. So please do, if you're still having speed issues, create a video. Okay, Loom is something that we love people using. We use it all the time. So create a Loom video or whatever. It doesn't matter if it's Loom, but also send that to us either through Discord or by opening a ticket. And let us know your location as well. What I often do to troubleshoot these issues for customers is I use my VPN to connect to another location in the world. Today I connected to a chatbot in Sweden, and that allows us to see what the true kind of user experience is. And for the chatbot in Sweden, I think a lot of the delay or the delay that the user is seeing can be reduced, the experience basically, by using the agent status messages. So yeah, send us a video, let us know your location. Now let's talk about what we're doing right now to improve this. Okay, so the primary thing we are working on that's going to solve almost all of these issues is streaming responses from the OpenAI API. And what that means is that right now today, whenever we have to wait for the entire response to be generated from ChatGPT, and then we can actually send it your way. What we're going to start doing is using their streaming API in order to, at the moment that response starts getting generated by OpenAI, we will start relaying those bits to your browser so that you start to see the response coming in. So we will keep you all informed on that. Hopefully we will have that out in the next month. And of course, as always, this is software development, so it could be much sooner. But I think a month is a conservative estimate right now. But we will keep you all informed. Now, there is another alternative we've been considering here, which is using the old knowledge-based approach for simple use cases. What does that mean? So what that means is that we used to inject the knowledge base into the base system prompt. And that was a very naive and simple approach to doing this that a lot of other companies are doing. It doesn't allow ChatGPT to call the knowledge base dynamically, which is where the real power of ChatGPT lies. However, it's also a little bit faster because ChatGPT doesn't have to, we don't have to wait for a response and have ChatGPT call our code and say, okay, let me run the knowledge base function. Instead, we just include it with every response. Now, the downside to this, as you may already can tell, is that with every single response, the knowledge base results go in there. And so it can confuse the chatbot if you're not attempting to use the knowledge base. And if the chatbot gets confused by the knowledge base results, you can have some strange things that happen. So it works best whenever you're doing a simple Q&A type use case where you just have a chatbot that you don't want to collect leads, you don't want to schedule appointments, you just want to do Q&A, and that can be very fast. So what I'm saying is if you want us to enable this for your chatbot, reach out to us, open a ticket, or tell us in the Discord, and we will enable that on the back end for you. Now, finally, we are investigating, and this will be after the streaming is out, but we are investigating deploying essentially what are edge servers. Now, that's not really, from a technical standpoint, that's not exactly what they are, but we can call them edge servers in certain regions that will be physically closer to you. And so because of that, the responses will naturally come sooner. Luckily, our architecture, we've done it in such a way that we can enable this, and we've already talked about that today. So we do have a path towards doing this, but we think most of the bulk of the speed issues will be fixed by streaming. And then if we still have issues in certain countries, we can deploy one of these, what I'm calling edge servers there, which will help alleviate so much of any issues at that point. You know, we'll have streaming, we would have the edge server, and it would be like we're very, very close to you. So that is it. Let us know any feedback you have on this. And if you have speed issues that you can't resolve with these things that I've worked out, then send us a video, give us your location, and let's see what could be the problem or the issue. And then finally, like I said, we'll keep you all informed about streaming and the other things that we talked about.